So about funding sources, we categorize them in two main categories, individuals and organizations. And organization can also be put in three subcategories, meaning non-profit, private, and public. And this covers all the possible funding sources of your revenues. We can also make other two types of categories from the funding sources. There are organizations or individuals who can give you money to support your work for others, like you receive money to support work for children or for other types of beneficiaries. But also, you can receive direct money for your services to these beneficiaries. So you have services for local governments, and they pay for these services. So there are two types of funding sources: international organization foundation, who give you money to train local governments, for example, to become more efficient, but also directly local governments who can give you money for your services. And you have to think of these two types of organizations, because actually there are your main clients. And sometimes you have not only one client when working in one activity or program. For example, if a founder gives you money to do a certain activity for other people, then you have two clients. One client is the one who gives you money, the other is to whom you give the service. And what we discussed in the training is that sometimes the interests of these two clients are contradictory. And sometimes the interest of those who give you money is contradictory with your mission or with your values or beliefs. And the question is what you do. You just receive money because you want to survive, or you say no because it enters in contradiction with the people, the interest of people I want to serve, or with the values or principles of my organization. And where is the limit, and how you decide about this situation when you are in the middle of two clients' interests. And we have only one advice to give you, is that you have to follow your mission and do not make compromise on the quality of your work. And if you have this principle, then you'll know what to decide in the different situations when you are put in a contradictory situation. Now, the question is, what would motivate these funding sources to give you money, different types of funding sources to support your work or to pay for your services? And if you think of these different types of clients, individuals, organization, private, public, or non-profit, they can have different motivation, and you have to be aware of this motivation. And we give you only very few tips on this. And the idea is that when you ask from individuals, you have to be aware that people give to people. If you have services that serve people, then it's easy to raise money from individuals. For example, if you have you work for protecting children or women's shelter, as we had, or other types of activities, then it's easy to ask people to give to people. But if you have more sophisticated programs, I'm not sophisticated, but let's say other type of programs like consulting services or training, then this is an intervention which doesn't go directly to a beneficiary. It's an intervention that probably in time will help, for example, local governments to be more, give good services for people. For this type of activity, it's more difficult to raise from individuals money. Another, for foundations, you have to be aware that motivation is that they give money to fulfill their mission. Each foundation, each private foundation or corporate foundation, was created for a mission. And you have to know this mission in order to see if this fits with your activities or not. Then corporations also give money, but they want a return on their investment because they are business people, and they want to have also a win from the fact that they gave money. And public institutions give money to implement their public policies. So if you want to know for what you give money and what grants, you have to know EU policies and what kind of policies they want to support when they give this money. Why is it important to understand motivation to give? What do you think? It's important because it's part of one of the steps of the fundraising activities. Actually, we structured them in this fundraising activity in 4 main steps. First is knowing what you want. The second is knowing your prospect, so who can give you money, and the motivation is part, knowing motivation is part of this step. Then communicating your request, and then building relationships. And these were the 4 main steps. And now we focused on knowing your prospect. You can analyze the different funding sources, not only through the motivation, but also with other types of analysis. One is the donor pyramid, which put on the base of the pyramid, it's a triangle, put on the base of the pyramid the sources and the variety of donors and sources you have. And in time, you may build loyalty with fewer of them. And at the top of the pyramid are those few who became loyal to your organization and gives you not only once, but each year for 10 years. There are situations or more years, and you did something to move some donors up to this pyramid. And this is one part of a strategy of fundraising, to look at your donors and to build this relationship with them so that they become loyal to you. There are also other types of looking at donors, who are the 20% who gives you 80% of funding, who are the most clients who can give you money for your services. So you can really analyze the market of possible funding sources. But there are 2 main strategies that actually are in contradiction with each other, but you have to go through both of them. One is that you have to build diversity of donors, so not to be dependent only on one big donor, because that is risky, but also you have to do actions to build the loyalty of the few most important donors. So these are 2 strategies, but you have to go on both of them.